My name is Detective Steve Parr.
Now go to man.
Investigator for the city of Miami Gardens. I'm currently working a homicide of a man by the name of Strickland, who was shot and killed on December the 3rd, 2013.
See, I told you they're gonna react.
Strickland received a telephone call sometime around 7:15 from an unidentified woman. He left his residence ostensibly to meet the woman at the 213th block of Northwest 14th Place in the city of Miami Gardens. About 8 o'clock or so, he arrived in the area. He parked his vehicle, which was a 2005 dark blue Lexus E330, in the parking lot. Then about 8:15 or so, neighbors heard a series of gunshots. At that point, they looked out the window and they saw Mr. Strickland lying in the parking lot of the apartment complex, and his vehicle was gone.
They took his chain.
As Andre lay dying on the cold, hard pavement, his car had been stolen and was later found nearby after having crashed into a light pole. Police don't know who the drivers were, but they want to find out.
After the 911 calls, the responding officers came upon the victim's vehicle. It had apparently been stolen from him during the course of what we believe to be an unarmed robbery and a carjacking. The vehicle had been involved in a single car crash and was disabled, and the occupants had fled the scene on foot. During the course of the robbery, a piece of jewelry was taken from him. We would be very interested in finding out the location of that.
They're gonna show
it's
it.
a distinctive necklace that he had when he left the house, and then when the police arrived, he was no longer in possession of that property. We believe that was stolen during the course of the murder.
About 1:30, and I heard somebody knocking on the door. I said, "Well, who's knocking on my door this time of morning?" And when he say Miami Garden Police, and right away I said, "Oh Lord, what that happened?" So when I went to let them know it, and I could tell the look on their face that something wasn't. So I just started saying, "What's wrong?" And they showed me his picture on this driver's license. So I said, "What happened? Where's Dre? Where's Dre?" And the detective just told me. He said, "I said, something happened." He said, "Yeah." He took me inside. And he said, "Sit down." He asked me who was there with me. And I told him, nobody. Because Dre stayed there with me. So he said, "Can you call somebody?" And by this time, I knew something. Really. And then when he told me what happened, I think I literally lost it.
She called me screaming in the phone, and I really didn't understand what she was saying. I didn't have a good sense of it. I just knew that something was seriously wrong. I don't live that far from my mom, so for me to jump up and throw on some clothes very quickly and get to her house, when I got there, I was met and greeted by the investigator and the detective that was there. And we had never experienced anything like that before. So the emotions were very, very high, and I was trying to get information to find out what was wrong, and what happened. And then when they told us, you right away want to have a sense of, I want to go see. I am not really convinced that what you're saying is true. It can't be. It's not real. And that's when we were informed that it actually happened earlier that evening. We didn't get the information until 1 o'clock in the morning. So of course at that time, there was nothing to see. There was no place to go. There was no opportunity to have our closure on the actual scene so that we could make it real to us.
All of this was going on when I was at work. When I got off work, I was asleep in the bed when my husband was asleep. Then I got a phone call from my grandmother. And I'm like, it was late, so I'm like, why is my grandma calling this late? Maybe she missed the call because my name is Ashley. I'm probably the first one in the phone. So I said, I'm not going to answer it. So my husband was like, go ahead and answer it. Something could be wrong. So I answered it. And when I answered it, it was my aunt. And she told me the situation. And I'm like, I just paused because I thought it was a dream.
Our male children need father figures. And he just taken away from his children. He spent a lot of time with his children. The youngest one, I don't think Brandon really realized how much, but little Andre realizes exactly, and he wants to know, why would somebody do it to my dad? What happened? You know?
A significant piece of the puzzle is missing at this point, and that would be the name and the identity of the woman he was to meet. If she was to be able to come forward, she might be able to put additional pieces of the puzzle together so that we could solve the murder. If she doesn't come forward, we're hoping by the release of this Crime Stopper segment that someone will identify her.
Let's get back to the case.
Andre Strickland had a very loving family. They're very concerned about his death. They want closure to it.
But our whole family will feel better when we at least figure out what happened or what went down.
They don't even know what pain they cause to take a life that's just coming into prosperity, really. I understand even some of the people from his music were getting ready to contact him. They don't know what kind of life they took. They don't know what they took from two small kids, two small male children. They don't know what they took from his entire family. And I just want to say to the person that's out there that did this, you may get away from us, but you won't get away from God.
If he was here, I don't know what I would say to him. He has missed so many things. His youngest son, Brandon, just graduated from kindergarten, and he was valedictorian of his class. For him to have seen that would have been remarkable. You know, we would have been talking about that to this day. Both of us had graduations to attend. My son graduated high school. His son graduated kindergarten. It's difficult to think about events that are benchmarks in families' lives because that person is just not there. And that void is bigger than everything else.
A young lady called me last night about 1 o'clock, and she was saying, they all call me Grandmama. Grandmama, I just miss Andre so much is going on in my life now that he could have given me some answers from. So people, he was that to people. I mean, to people, so many people that we don't even know. People call that I didn't even know these people knew Andre. So he knew a lot of people because he was out there. Like I said, he played football. He was a correction officer. They did reps for the church. They met people in church. So he was out there, and he helped people. So that was his spirit. That was who Andre was, the giver and the helper.
It seems in today's society that there is this no snitching policy. This is not like snitching when you're in school. This involves somebody's life, somebody's death, and a family member. Mr. Strickland was someone's son. He was a grandson. He was a cousin. He was a brother. And if when you look in terms of his murder, in that respect, being a snitch doesn't even enter into it.
I know a lot of people are afraid to give information, but in this case, Crime Stoppers, you're anonymous. So by saying something, it'll help out the family, it'll help us out. Because I know someone knows something, but they're just probably afraid to talk. But he has a loving family, and he left behind his kids, his sister, brother, mother, father. So if somebody can just give out information, any little information will help.
We need to try to catch these people so they won't harm somebody else. Because if you harm somebody like this, there's nothing to say that you won't do it again. So we need to really get them off the street. If someone is listening to me, they don't know the pain that's in my heart, but I can tell them they'll never understand it. But then it's me today and it may be them tomorrow. Because you never know what this person will do again.
Every day is still fresh to me just because I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know exactly who did it. I don't know. It's just like I'm in the blind right now. I'm just blinded by it. But for somebody to come forward and give us some closure, that would mean a lot. That would mean a lot. It won't give a life back, but that would mean a lot to us.
Currently, we're at a standstill with the investigation, and we really want the public and the community to call. They can remain anonymous. They just need to call Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. As a result, if that leads to an arrest, there's a $3,000 reward from Crime Stoppers, plus the family has put up another $2,500 in addition to that. So we really need someone to come forward and help us with this investigation. Mr. Strickland was a decent guy. He didn't deserve to be shot and killed. He didn't deserve to be robbed.
35-year-old Andre Strickland was shot to death, leaving his family grieving and looking for answers. Miami Gardens police need your help to get this vicious killer off the street. Now, the police believe that the suspect is a black male who was possibly wearing dark blue pants. If you have any information that can help solve this crime, please call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. And as always, you will remain anonymous.